Where do you get your authority? What is authority? How does anybody have authority over you without your consent? These are the real questions for 2021 and forevermore in the future, my friends, about who's responsible for whose health, who's responsible for whose life. Because we're seeing a giant frenzy for politics and politicking, and they're not asking the real question of where do they get their authority? And whose life is this? Where does life come from? I mean, they can't even answer these questions. So I'm just on here a little bridge right here, right? Crossing the two ways. So we are the voluntarist minded individuals heading towards a voluntary world. And we're leaving the coercive world behind. The world where somebody can just claim authority over you. When somebody says, oh, you have to do this, ask them, why? Why do I have to do that? And if it's other than you're harming somebody or damaging their property, it's completely illegitimate and immoral. You have a natural right to live, to breathe, to travel, to conduct business, to help people heal. You don't need permission from any of these organizations. So it's really essential that you understand that where we're going to is an area over here, from the old to the new. So we're taking it to the new world of voluntary relationships and standing on your own authority. The authority you get from God. I mean, this is a really important thing to understand, that you own yourself. So nobody has any authority to make you do anything. And if you want to see the end of authoritarianism, which includes the school system, the FDA, the FCC, the SEC, you want to see an end to all these things, then we got to start asking the real question of who has the authority? Where did they get the authority? And many people will say, well, you voted for us. And we can say, no, I didn't. Well, they said the majority did. Okay? So who has rights and freedoms? The majority or an individual? The individual, of course. That's you. That's me. We are the smallest minority. And if we stay silent and let these politicking people speak for you and me, we're going to continue to go down dark paths into totalitarianism. And that's what this whole UN Agenda 21 is about. As many of you people know, they want to enslave us. They're afraid of you stepping in to your personal power. They're afraid of you standing in your own authority, which God gave you, which is your temple. So whether you believe in creation or evolution or whatever it is, I think we do have to say that we live inside of our bodies. So wherever this body came from, we are the inhabitant and the sole king or queen of this body. And it's important if you want to be free. This is an important realization. And if you know of a better one, please let me know. But to understand the truth that we live inside of our body was one of the best things that I ever discovered in my life. And so that's why I'm very adamant about helping other people understand, especially young people. And it's so exciting to see young people exercise their authority in the face of adults, because they're taught in school to yield their own preferences, desires, and wants, get permission to go to the bathroom, and now they got to sit in front of a computer with distance learning and learn whatever the state wants to tell them. So if you can start asking the question, where does your authority come from? Ask these to the cops. Ask these to the politicians. Ask these to the public health officials or anybody who's trying to violate you or your natural freedoms and rights from God. And they won't know. And I just interviewed some cops the other day, and they start laughing and say, it's just a job. And my friend says, well, you're not going to be laughing if you lose your badge and your gun. They say, yeah, I will. It's just a job. And so the cops are really just officers, you know, like security officers now for the city. And they're not here to uphold the law. And this is what we saw at the Santa Cruz Farmers Market recently, is the actual lieutenant showed a law or showed a city code, and in the city code there's an exemption for the Unruh Civil Rights Act 1964, which proved our point that the farmers market is a public accommodation. Now, this is all going back to if government's legitimate or not, which it's not. But if we're going to stay in the or participate in the statist system, we should know that their rules don't apply to them, and they got guns and badges, so it's an appeal to authority. So this is why we want to ask, where did you get your authority? What is your authority? Did I consent? Because in the Declaration of Independence it says the just powers of government comes from the consent of the governed. So if you didn't consent, then they don't have authority over you. So this is why the coercive organizations which use intimidation, violence, and threats are going down, and voluntary organizations based on human dignity, respect, compassion, and freedom of choice, these are organizations that are rising. And it's not just in the U.S., it's all around the world, because people are sick of the tyranny and authoritarianism that is happening. And we're asking these questions. Where do you get your authority? Oh, you voted for me. No, I didn't. The Constitution. Did I agree to it? No, but your great-great-great-great-grandparents did. Okay, that doesn't count either. I am a living man. You are a living man or woman, and we have all of our rights inside of us, and we have them until we give them away. And so this is what happens when we consent to all these different things. So the future is going to be without coercive organizations mandating driver's license, medical license, business license, health permits, teaching licenses, salon licenses, hairdressing. All these licenses is from the state. And you don't need that, because as long as you're engaging in a consensual, voluntary relationship, you are on the moral, honorable, noble high ground of goodness. And when they're using threats, intimidation, and violence, they're violating your most natural gifts from God. So how long can this whole thing hold up? Well, we're going to find out. You know, with this whole scamdemic which is happening, and the vaccines which are coming here. Actually, vaccines are here. So hopefully you've made your line in the sand, like me and many of my friends. And we're just going to participate in voluntary, consensual relationships. We're not going to force you to do anything. I'm not going to force you to do anything. Will you force me to do anything? Because if not, then we're like buddies, and we're visionaries. It's going to be a phenomenal experience. So thanks for joining me on the Freedom Lovers Show, where we're building the voluntary world one relationship at a time by asking people where they get their authority. What is authority? Because if you don't consent, they have no authority over you.